So welcome everybody. I'm just going to reiterate it. I've just said that next week the Zoom meeting will be on Thursday, and then from then on it should be on Wednesdays. If you would like to be on the email list so that you know which day it's on for sure, then you can email me and I'll put you on the email list. Email me at clistim@gmail.com. Somebody's got their microphone off. It's that mean.
I think I just muted them.
Thank you. Oh, Darren can't make it again. He's enjoying himself in Brighton, and Michael kindly said he'd be co-host. I really appreciate, there's a real appreciation for you, you who are here at the meeting, rather than, I know most people watch these meetings on YouTube at their own convenience, which I don't blame them for at all. But it did dawn on me today that, of course, if you didn't turn up, if no one turned up, I wouldn't do the meeting. So that could be interesting. None of you turn up next week and there wouldn't be a meeting. And then all the people who watch on YouTube go, where's the meeting? And by that, I'm just saying thank you, because I get to see some faces rather than talk to myself. I talk to a blank phone. Not that I think, unlike I have heard some people suggest that, of course, even in a live Zoom meeting, there could be more energetic transmission live than in the recorded Zoom meeting on YouTube. If you've ever heard such a crock of shit in your entire life. But of course, if you've come from spiritual circles, you can't help but, even if you're the most cynical bastard in the world, which I always have been, by the way. So when I was going to meetings, I didn't buy that. But then I thought, but you never know, do you? What if it really is an energetic transmission and I've got to be there live? So I've got to watch all the live Zooms and also attend as many live meetings as I can, because that's my best chance. I've got some great news. It's fucking wonderful news. You've got no chance. Now, that isn't what you ever thought was the best news, but it is. So there isn't a chance. No. There isn't a possibility. There's just this, and this isn't a possibility. This is everything. This is nothing and everything. There's absolutely no more and no less. No chance, no possibility is the liberation from the hope, the chance, the possibility. shouldn't get as much pleasure out of telling you that as I do. But God, it's just so wonderful. You're not going to get anything. That's the great news. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to become. There's no one to become and nothing to become. This doesn't become, it just is. This just is. It won't be. It wasn't. It will not be. Just is. Only is. All is. And it's just what we're talking about is the freedom from there could be more. There could be less. More of what I desire, less of what I don't desire. There couldn't be. Why not? Because there isn't. There isn't. Is there? Just fantasies. Just hopes and dreams. Just wishful thinking. Magical thinking. All innocent. It's all innocent. Completely. I was brought up Christian, and Christianity talked about love, but love was always associated with hope and faith. It's so fucked up. Unconditional love is no hope. Unconditional love has no requirement of faith whatsoever. None. No requirement of belief. No requirement whatsoever. Beliefs are for me. Hope is for me. Faith is for me. And of course, conditional love is for me. Unconditional isn't for anyone. There's no one to be in love or out of love. There's no one in control or out of control. There's no one to be in or out. You can't get more into this or more out of this. Just this. That's the wholeness and the completeness. That's the unconditional love. There's no one who could possibly have more or less. There can still be imagination and fantasies of more or less, but that's all they are. That's this too. There's no exclusion. Brendan, did you have your hand up? Did you want to ask something, or is it gone?
I think it's gone.
It's gone. I guessed it had gone. I don't know how I guessed it had gone. I thought, oh, that was in the moment. And then it's gone.
Go on, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'll share something. I was at a choir today and I was with a guy whose wife was diagnosed with terminal cancer within the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And another guy who had his first session of chemotherapy yesterday. And I walked 3 months ago on the 21st of June, which is the solstice,
Yeah.
for 25 miles with a friend of mine. I met her at the top of my road, and we walked 25 miles, and I had difficulty keeping up with that. From Brighton to Eastbourne, and she was preparing to walk from Canterbury to Rome in 3 months. And she cannot now walk down 200 yards to my house because she's been diagnosed with cancer. So I'm just sharing this because I imagine grief is painful regardless.
Oh, I'm sure she's in great grief.
Mm.
Or she's feeling great grief, surely. Yeah. Is that what you mean?
I'm just sharing that. Is that yeah, when I don't know what I'm saying really, is that grief, I imagine, is more palpable in the sense of non-duality.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's more palpable. It feels like there's no defense against it. That's more like it. It's the most of the strategies that I used to use don't seem available. They're not available. That's how it feels. So it's more that I think grief is felt by every human being, but some human beings, some selves, it seems, self is a self-defense, mostly made of self-defense strategies and mechanisms. Do not feel the pain of loss. And life, essentially, life is loss. Relatively, everything is being lost. And not just loss isn't something that happens now and then. Loss is constant. This is constantly passing away. There's only passing away. So this is born and this passes away. The whole illusion is the continuity that self believes and feels and relies on, has a faith in this existence in between birth and death, where in fact, in absolute terms, this is birth, this is death, and they are not two. There isn't a life between birth and death. This is brand new. This has never been before. And it's already passed away. When I said that, it's gone. It's dead. And there isn't an actual time span between the appearance and the disappearance. That's why you can't find this, because there isn't a space in between. There isn't a continuity. This doesn't continue. It just is always appearing. And this always appearing is always disappearing. Never to be reborn. This annihilates all ideas of karma, all ideas of reincarnation. Of course, there can't be reincarnation without incarnation, and that's what we're talking about. We're actually talking about there's no incarnation. There's stories of incarnation. There's stories of reincarnation. This is completely unknowable. And all the peace lies in the not knowing. There's no peace in knowledge. All knowledge is just waiting to be. Well, I always think of science. It's just, I do love science still. There's still a real love of science because relatively it's the most, I don't know, the purest way humans try and say we know. But of course, what I love about science is that all good scientists will always acknowledge that it's not knowledge. There's no absolute knowledge. It's all relative and it's all waiting to be refuted. That's all knowledge is. Knowledge is, this is our best we have at the moment. And a scientist's job is to disprove that that knowledge is true. So I just love it that it's just ideas. Best guess, even, you could say, okay, this is our best approximation of the truth that we've got so far. Isn't that wonderful? Why cannot everyone see that that's what science is? It's so beautifully human. It's not saying we know. It's saying, well, this is what we think we know. This is to the best of our ability to know relative truth. This is what we've got so far. Absolutely no, for sure it's not true. But look how wonderful these relative truths have been and are in terms of human existence, in the relative story of human existence. Just wonderful. So I do get a bit pissed off when spirituality sort of demeans science. Well, I can do anyway. I don't really care. But what I mean is I have a much greater love of science than I do spirituality. That's what I mean. Because I can't abide spirituality that says I know the relative truth. So individual human beings say, I know the absolute truth and I can show you or teach you. Bullshit. All of it. 100%. There's no absolute truth. And even if there is, there's no way human beings could know that. Just some clever apes. Come on, get off your high horse. So what's on offer here is not that you could know the absolute truth, or even that there is an absolute truth. The very best that is on offer is there is a wonderful peace and rest in no longer. If the belief in truth dies or just doesn't appear, then there's the end of the seeking truth. At the end of seeking truth or end of seeking reality, that's the peace that passes all understanding. And you could say, then here is the truth, and here is the reality. But that's saying far too much, because that's not known. It's just what really I'm speaking about is that the search can end. And why does the search end? Because it's futile. The one who thought he was special enough to be like the special ones who know stops turning up. You won't even notice if you stop turning up. Fuck, there'll be some relief though. Because it'll be disconcerting. You won't have any need to get up. There might be getting up, but there might not be, because there's nothing to get up for. You know that I might actually, today might be the day when it's realized. No, there won't be that day. There isn't that day. This is already as close or as far from as is possible. And although, I mean, that can feel dreadfully hopeless to the one who's seeking, it can feel dreadfully disappointing. But so fucking what? And of course, you can go on for the until, you know, the instant before the last breath of the body, thinking that there is a truth and there is a absolute reality, and you too could be it, or you could know it, or you could become one with it, or whatever other fantasy you have. But it feels like there's no compassion, there's no love in that. There's no love in the dangling of a carrot that you still need to follow, you need to strive for. So when I talk about unconditional love, that's what I'm referring to. The impossibility is the love. Now, you may not think I'm enlightened, but you might still have an idea that there are some people who speak about this, who are special and who are a no self. I can't emphasize enough, there are no selves. No self has any relevance or significance to self. Without self, no self is just me without me. Well, fuck off. I mean, what on earth would that be? And I still can't help but think, how on earth do people still ask me, well, it's okay for you because you must be aware when you meet another no self, because you're aware of the emptiness. No, every human being is equally empty. The emptiness doesn't have preference. Whether there's a sense of me, that sense of me is just as empty as everything else. The emptiness is unconditional. When we used to go to Tony's, when I went regularly for years, there was we had a term for those who we thought had got it or had lost it. And we called them empties. Do you think he's an empty? Well, he certainly seems. I think if he's not an empty, then he's getting drained out. There's only the dregs left. Oh God. And there is such a lightness when the whole seeking game is up. It is wonderfully. I mean, it's so tragic. There's tears and laughter in equal measure. You will cry for how hard you've tried, and you will mock yourself for all that fucking effort. All for nothing. All for nothing. That's the liberation. This is all for nothing. What is this for? Well, you make up any shit. It's all equally meaningless. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. So I talk about love. Love doesn't mean anything. That's the unconditional nature of love. It's all of it. Every last drop. I found a beautiful song this morning. It's not because I'm just idly scrolling Facebook or something. I don't know where it came up. Anyway, you know the idle scrolling of the phone. You know what teenagers are always getting accused of, just wasting their life on their phone. That's what I do. Waste my life scrolling on a phone. Anyway, I came across this wonderful Kate Bush song. I don't know if any of you are Kate Bush fans. If you're not Kate Bush fans, then you need to be. And I found a song that I'd never heard this morning, which is called Under the Ivy. Now, I was going to play it for you, but I'm doing this on my phone, which is the only place I could play it, and so I can't do that. But maybe after the meeting. Under the Ivy. Beautiful, really. Very, I'm not going to say it's non-dual, because it is and it isn't. But then everything is and it isn't. So it's really beautiful. Kate Bush is a genius.
I love Kate Bush. She's so good. She's really good.
She's wonderful, yeah. My brother's a big fan.
Me too. Me too.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you know the song? Do you know the one I mean?
I don't know the title, but I know, I think, most of her songs. So I love all of them. So.
But I think it's really obscure, because I would have said I've heard a lot of them. I've never heard this. And I will say, when you hear it, it is wow.
I'm going to check it out. Yeah.
And I suggest you, when you play it on YouTube, have it with the lyrics, because it's just beautiful poetry.
Yeah.
Just have the lyric, because you can't always hear all the words. Yeah.
She's very, very different. For me, she always very authentic, very herself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was wondering about relationship, and I was most of my life like in relationships, and now I'm not, and so much has changed for me, really a lot. Like, and I like in the story, like when you see through the veil, you just cannot see it in the same way ever again. So I just wonder, like, how this is ever going to work. I mean, you cannot just do it the same way. It's just impossible.
No, but you don't. I know. And of course,
No,
those.
yeah.
No, I do know exactly what you mean. I thought, oh, I'm fucked because I can't do anything that I used to do. I'll probably end up just being able to do one Zoom meeting a week. And lo and behold, that's what's happened. And and then what do I do with the rest of the time? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. No, what wonderfully, Sophie, you already weren't in control of all that. It's just now obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas
Yes.
before you could pretend and that you were in control, and all that's happened is that it's not available anymore. But it's no different to ever it was. There you go, Sophie. So it won't. You haven't got to worry about it because stuff will get done or not. And here's the great news: it doesn't matter whether it gets done or not. You just always thought it did matter.
Yeah.
And because that's so habitual, after a lifetime of saying, well, it does matter what I do and what I don't do. Well, here's the incredible news. It doesn't matter a shit.
I know that. So I know that. I mean, it's obvious, but it's like how it's going to function, you know, like it's.
Well, no,
in
what
work,
you mean, yeah, well, that's
yeah.
exactly what I mean. Because there's still the thought that says, well, without it was me who was functioning and made it functional. Without me, there'll be complete dysfunction. No. You were never functioning. So without you, functioning will just happen.
But you know, the me at least like put a lot of efforts and you know all that stuff. Like you have a big engine. The me have a big engine, and when the engine gone,
absolutely. Oh, there could be a lot less trying. Yeah, that's for sure. Surely that's what you wanted. Didn't you want less trying? And now you can't moan about what you asked for when it appears. You can't have, okay, that's really wanting your cake and eat it. I've been trying to get rid of me. Now it seems like even if I've not completely gone, there's a lot less of that. But I'm not sure I want it now because I don't think I'm going to work hard. No, you're not going to work hard, probably. Not at all.
And what about relationship? You know, I used to really be very, I don't know, whatever.
Well, you're not going to work on that either, because that's a job. That was another job you had. Your relation, you treated your job as a relationship as a job as well. So you're redundant from that job.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm laughing, but it's crazy.
It is crazy, but of course, relationships don't require you either. There you go. And relationships, you know how, oh God, I don't know if you've ever been to relationship counseling or therapy, and it's all about
I didn't want to.
No, thank God you didn't. It's always about working on the relationship. You have to. It's a working in pro. You have to work on it, and if you're not willing to do the work, then you best get out. Well, you best fucking get out then, because any relationship where it's a job, well, I mean, who would want that? It's so idiotic. It's beyond stupidity. And yet all selves go, yeah, that sounds great. Of course, I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to put in the effort. I'm willing to be miserable as shit just so we stay together. What on earth are we doing?
That's why I refused. I refused to go to a relationship counselor. Didn't want to.
Good work.
Yeah.
Well done.
I knew it's gonna be like maybe good for I don't know for a few months, but it's not gonna solve anything. I mean, it's like you have to work harder.
No.
Yeah.
No, it would just give you another. You've already got a long list of jobs that you have to do, and it would just give you another long list.
Thank you very much.
And this is what we're talking about. Is there are no more lists.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you look at, okay, list for today, and there's the beautiful blank page. I mean, there is nothing more beautiful than a blank page of to-do list. Because a to-do list is what needs to be done today. Well, I tell you what needs to be done today. Absolutely nothing. I mean, it's more liberation than self could ever. And of course, it's all in. I'm not saying self can do that, because self can't do that, because self is terrified of doing that. And of course, I mean, those thoughts and feelings still come up, Sophie, because you know, there's been a lifetime of Sophie being on that job list and having to tick them off.
Very, very committed.
Absolutely. And this requires no commitment. It doesn't, wonderfully, this doesn't require anything from you at all. There's no requirement, zero requirement.
But when I think about all the efforts and all the pretense and all the, I don't know what to say, it's so much effort, so much effort.
Yeah. Well, I've told you lots of times before, I've said it a lot, that, I mean, I cried for weeks and weeks and weeks when there were two things. One, that everything I'd ever done was for nothing. It was all because it was, and then I thought that was the worst grief, and it was just like, oh, I'm so. You could say it was like self-love. That was love of self. How hard Tim the self had tried to be a success, to be a good self, to be a good boy. It was very childlike. So I really grieved for the child who had tried so hard and the adult child who had tried so hard. There was grief for both. And then there was something that was more, the grief was much more intense. And that is that none of it actually ever happened. Now, when that hit, it's hard to describe that, because it was like, the first was like a personal grief for me. And then the second was like a complete devastating grief that it was like for everyone, because none of it ever happened. So it was then for like grieving for me, my mother, my father, my brother, my lovers, my wives, my children, because I know none of it's real. It's all stories all the way down. And when it wasn't possible to pretend that any of that was real, it was just the stories that we tell in order to make it feel real. Then there was really overwhelming grief in that.
So did you have like a period? Did you have like a period of time where like you couldn't function, or like that you were like
yes.
sort of?
Yeah. I say couldn't function. I could function. I mean, eating and breathing and having a shit is functioning. No, I did all that. It depends what you mean functioning. I mean, I think function, most people mean go to work. I think that's what most people mean. I mean, as though, you know, work that's the most important function. We're here to work. Because without work, there's no, we're not here to work. No.
I know that, I know.
So in that sense, dysfunctional, yeah, I didn't go to work. But then you could say, well, and I've continued to be completely dysfunctional because I've never been to work since. So I'd more say that, so it's not like then I became functional, then I became perfectly okay with being completely dysfunctional. Didn't care at all. I am fortunate in that, you know, I have some income, because of course there is the practicality of paying bills. I get all that. And it's not that there can't be anxiety about paying bills. I get a bill and I haven't got money to pay it. I go, oh shit, who am I going to beg off this week? But because I'm shameless now a bit about being, it's kind of like, I don't care that I'm dysfunctional. Not in the way that I used to, because it's not really dysfunctional. It's just that it's not the norm, and everyone else could also be on your case saying, well, it's all okay, this non-duality lark, but you know, you've got to pay the bills, so you've got to go to work, you've got to earn a living.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like because I don't know what happened. I can't put my focus like on going to work, and it's a little bit worse. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, put the focus like to go to work. Yeah, so we'll see about it. But I did have a question, maybe the last one. Like victimhood, like there can there be like victimhood without the me, or the me is the victimhood?
Feeling the victim.
Yeah. I just was curious, like.
I guess there could be a sense of being victimized, because other human beings don't know whether you're a self or not. They just presume you are. So they could still victimize the human being known as Sophie. So then there could be, but I would say it would have a very different flavor than. But yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I just think, like everything else, so anything could happen, but without the sense of it's happening to me,
Right.
There can still be the same kind of feeling, but it's of a very different. It's hard to express that, but it will have a very different flavor. So it could still feel threatening. It could still feel like, oh yeah, they're picking on me. They're victimizing me. But because it's not felt as, it's funny, it can still feel personal, even though it's not personal. That's hard to convey, because because me can't imagine what it's like without me. But of course, there isn't really a without me. It's just that what I called my personal feelings are just natural feelings.
Right.
And natural feelings, really, all of them are okay. Even the really painful, even the most fearful, even the most intense sadness, they're all okay, because they're not saying anything about me. They're not mine, but the feeling can just be here, of course. And the feeling passes so easily when it's not, without trying to get rid of a feeling. Feelings just pass effortlessly. It's all effortless. So feeling feelings is effortless. Feelings just passing away is effortless. And they never are anything to do with you. No, there's no one owns the feelings. You go to a therapist, first thing they'll do is say, own your feelings, and you go, oh no. And that's what I would have said. And then if I was a therapist, then the only advice I could ever give was, it's all fine. Leave them be.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Sophie. But there is natural fear of, well, it's me that's been, this is for everyone. I think if there is a sense of less of me, or me losing control, then there would naturally be fear of that, because that's what me has feared that more than anything. I've been the one who's been managing this life. Or how will it be managed without me? How will anything ever get done? Of course, that must be inevitable, that those thoughts and feelings come up. And the wonder is, of course, you were never doing them, so they just get done. And if they don't get done, here's the wonder: if they don't get done, it's fine. There isn't anything that needs to get done. In actual fact, there's nothing that's ever done. Absolutely. So nothing has ever been done. I mean, come on. How could there be more liberation? This is completely free of the past, other than the past that appears as what we call memory. There is no past. Nothing has ever happened. Absolutely. Relatively, we just tell stories. And you have your story, and she has her story, and he has his story, and that's all there is. And when it's doubtless that that's all there is, well, all the weight of what we've called our lives just evaporates. It's weightless. It never existed. And now it just exists as stories. Or not. The past appears when story appears. It does not exist. There's only this that exists. And sometimes the past exists as this, as the stories that are told in thought, in word, in writing, in film, in video. They appear or not as this, with no meaning, no purpose, no significance, other than the significance that each human being applies to that appearance. That is all the meaning there is. There is no inherent meaning. There is no inherent purpose. There is no inherent source. It's all incredibly empty of all of that we think is important, that self believes to be essential for a meaningful, purposeful life. So, of course, when that is even doubted, there will be consternation, there will be disconcertion, there'll be fear of, well, without that meaning and purpose, how will there be functioning? Well, exactly the same as there always is. This is just functioning as it functions, including what you've called you. You were never doing any of the functioning. It was never up to you. So it's like being redundant and then finding out you never had a job. You lose your job, but then, oh, fuck, no, I haven't lost my job because I never had a job. There was never a job in the first place. Don't expect anyone who's close to you to be sympathetic to any of this. I can almost guarantee, of course, there are no guarantees, I could almost guarantee none of them, maybe one or even two, if you're really lucky, will empathize in any way at all. That's why this is always a little bit tricky in the relative, in relationships. It's too threatening. You're threatening, you're fucking tipping the apple cart completely over. And not content with tipping the apple cart over, you then go stamp it, you want to stamp on all the apples. But it might be that you're not necessarily as, I don't know, sadistically humorous as me, who likes treading on the apples. But you might go, yeah, I don't mind treading on a few now and again. But you definitely will, the apple cart will, because you're really, all of you, you're a threat to all who know you. Because you come to, just by coming to these meetings, because you're going to tell somebody and they're going to go, ooh, danger. It's like Swiss Family Robinson. What was the robot called? Robbie? Swiss Family Robinson.
It wasn't Swiss Family, right? It was something else. But yeah, Danger Will Robinson. Danger Will Robinson.
Danger Will Robinson, not Swiss Family. It was Lost in Space. Yes. I loved that as a kid. Showing my age. Fortunately, Michael's of a generation that will know what I'm talking about. Sorry for all you young people who don't know. Danger, danger.
What does it mean to tread on apples? What does that mean, Tim? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I just love, once I get a metaphor, I just say any old bullshit to run with it. What I mean is, other people might, if you mention non-duality, they'll be afraid that you're going to upset everybody. You're going to tip over the apple cart. And not only are you going to upset everybody with your really, I mean, this is about as radical a thing as you could ever say to people who know you.
Yeah.
That they don't exist. So you tip the apple cart over, and then you might actually enjoy, not only have you tipped their apples over, but you might like to squish a few. That's what I mean, because I do like to do that. Now, I will say I'm fairly compassionate to a degree, and generally I don't deliberately go around jumping on all of them. But now, you know, it's fun to just squash one now and again. You know, somebody says something, you know, and I don't let them have it. So it's like, I'm not letting you have that one. So I just stamp on it. You're not eating that. You're not having that again.
Yeah.
Tim, I just want to thank you for the phrase, being made redundant and finding out you never had a job.
Oh, thank you, John.
That's a really good one.
Oh, thank you. Oh, occasionally I can come out with a gem. I'm glad it's appreciated, John. But I do feel that, because it is like a complete redundancy package. And then, of course, in the redundancy, like all human beings, all selves who are made redundant, there is a panic about that. There is so much fear involved. And then it goes from fear, which I felt really intensely, to then this grief, because I'd never had a job. There was never me in employment as me, doing me. I mean, the self-job is me, and to make my life work. And I mean, when that was seen that, oh shit, no, that wasn't actually, none of it was true. It really is annihilation of everything that I believe to be real and true. And that can feel devastating, but I mean, I'm amazed if any human beings ever come near this and there's not some sense of devastation, because it literally is all the apples. I mean, actually, you tip the apple cart over and then the apples fall and there's no apples. I mean, it's much worse than apples getting stamped on. Because at least if there were apples, I could stop you treading on them. But no, there's not. So in the end, the freedom, of course, is there are no apples, so there's nothing to defend. I don't need to keep my apples safe.
The beauty of this annihilation is that there never was that anyway.
No.
Yeah.
No, and of course the annihilation is only it's just in the story. And then the story gets liberated from being reality. And then the stories are just beautiful. And then there's just love of everyone's story, and because that's all they are. So every self becomes so preciously self-centered and egotistical, and you know, even all the arseholes. And don't forget, there's plenty of those. Even those become beautiful because it's so innocent. Couldn't be otherwise. And it is strange, you know, because I was I was very judgmental about who was worthy and who's what not. And of course, the unconditional love is that no one's worthy. There is no one to be worthy. There is no one to be unworthy. That is the most simple, absolute, unconditional love. So your job was to go on.
There's only grief around that if there's an attachment to the apples. I mean, if they're believed to be true.
I tell you what, it wasn't attachment to the apples that there was grief for. It was grief for the one who had been looking after the apples, and how hard he tried, because he wasn't just keeping the apples in the cart. Fuck, I love an analogy. He wasn't just keeping the apples in the cart. He was keeping them in the fucking air. He was juggling 400 apples.
Yeah, and I guess that's where there's some sort of difference here.
I mean, who knows?
There wasn't anybody.
It could be just my story.
Juggling.
It could be just my story, but I mean, I've spoken to lots of people, and lots of selves' lives are a sense of juggling. Keeping all the balls in the air, keeping all the apples up, spinning the plates, sprinting from one plate to another, feeling like a firefighter. You know, there's fire, and the fires are just starting up. There's a new fire every moment. And my job is a firefighter. I've got to put them out, otherwise they'll kill me. So, no apples, no plates, no spinning, no spinner. And so all the apples fall, all the plates fall. And of course, it feels like they smash on the ground, and then you look and there's no broken plates. I feel I've really overdone the apple analogy, so I just switched to plates because I thought I'd over-egged it. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're about time. Has anybody else got anything they'd like to say or ask?
I just wanted to say, oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say we had a meeting with Tim in Berlin, and it was really, really nice. And if anyone gets a chance to see him live, it's just much more beautiful than to have it.
Oh, good one, Doris.
Okay.
I can't believe they're all missing out on that. Can you? Doris can't believe it either. Baron knows, but then obviously Baron didn't get the full transmission because here he is.
Actually, Tim, I was going to say, it's so good to hear you say that the recorded video versus the live Zoom makes no bloody difference, because I've never felt there was any difference. And I thought, well, I must be missing something, because they all say, you know, the more live, the more present, the more, oh God. So anyway, I've not heard that before, but it's absolutely what seemed to be going on
thanks,
here.
Judith.
I love a recording.
Of course. Well, recorded recorded non-duality meetings in my story were my life for about 8 years every day.
That's the trouble, isn't it?
Now that's the trouble, because you can't go to a live meeting constantly for 8 hours back to back.
No.
But you can on YouTube.
Anyway, I think this has been a great one. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. But no, I appreciate you saying that, and I do really mean that. There's never any more or less of this. So
no, I never found one iota of difference, except when on a live Zoom like this, you know, I can ask damn full questions, but you know, that's the only difference.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for coming. Thanks, Michael, for co-hosting. So next week's Zoom will be on Thursday at 7 again, like this week. And then I think it's going to return to Wednesdays. And if you'd like to be on the, if you'd like an invitation so that you know exactly when it's on, then just email me and I'll put you on the email list. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks,
Thank you.